going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's 6 in the morning. I got a half hour left before I gotta hit the road. Taking the Red Rocket out for a tour today. Mainly because I'm bringing in some cold brew coffee for my people at the bakery. Not a lot, but a big enough carafe. I would say it's probably more than a quart. Less than a half gallon for sure. But it's definitely enough to, if I were to drink the whole carafe myself, it would put me in the hospital, probably. So, anyway, I'm definitely not feeling it today, but I got out of bed. I slept. I didn't sleep an extra half hour, but I took an extra half hour to drag myself out of bed. Normally, I'd be sitting in this chair instead. But I said, what's the difference? As long as I start getting ready when I'm supposed to, it won't make a difference. And it takes about, I try, this is the thing, this is how strung out I am. Tuesday morning, I had all the lights charged, all the batteries charged, everything that was necessary for the bike ride this morning was ready. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I never had time to gather everything, pack it, and get it ready so that all I would have to do today is wake up and go. And I wanted to do that all week long. But even so, I've got this process down. It takes 20 minutes from the time I start to the time I finish. I didn't put air in the tires. There's a lot of talk going on about tires and tire pressure on road bikes especially. And the consensus used to be, when I was younger, that the skinnier the tire and the higher the pressure, the faster you go. Less rolling resistance, etc. And it does feel that way. When you're riding the bike, it feels like the skinnier the tire and the higher the pressure, the faster you go. And I think there's some truth to that, because if you put a mountain bike on the road, you will go much faster on a mountain bike if you pump the tires up to their firmest rating and go rolling down the road. If you have a speedometer, if you have an average speed computer, you will find out you go faster, for sure. But there's supposedly scientific data that says wider tires at lower PSI are faster on road bikes than skinny tires at high PSI. And this one guy put out a tire pressure calculator. And based on my tire widths, and this guy knows what he's talking about, he's not a dummy. But I tried it out yesterday, and basically it said for each of my bikes, I should run my tire pressure 20 psi lower than what I currently do. And I'm still kind of skeptical, because on the Red Rocket here, I typically pump my tires up to 100, the max rating of the tire. And I feel the difference between 80 and 100, and I feel like 100 is faster. But he made a comment about not all road surfaces are perfectly smooth, etc. And I'm like, that day I went on that 78-mile ride, I encountered a road that the texture of the road was just rough. It wasn't like potholes. It wasn't. They're not going to bother repaving this road anytime soon, because it's not a bad road for a car to drive on. But on the bicycle, it was torture. And I kept wanting to lower my PSI on my tires because of the vibration and the fact that I couldn't go any faster than 6 to 10 miles an hour without completely feeling like the bicycle would disintegrate. And I couldn't do it. And I wonder if my tires were 20 psi lower, if I would have just been able to glide over it. a little bit more shock absorption, and etc. And so, I mean, I even noticed the difference. If you put the max PSI in your car tire, for example, you'll feel the difference when you drive. You'll lose a little bit of traction, but you'll gain less rolling resistance. So it's a trade-off. And I'm not saying to pump up your tires to be rock hard, unless you have like skinny ass low profile tires that are an inch away from the rim. But if you got like a Jeep, especially a Jeep or something with big tires, and a significant distance between the edge of the rim and the edge of the tire, you should probably follow the recommended PSI. And but you know there but tire pressure is important, man. It's like in a auto racing, the 1 pound per square inch difference, or 1 psi, makes a huge difference in terms of track times, lap times. If you're driving the car by yourself on the track, their science, like they really like that's one of the things they try to dial in absolutely perfect is the psi of the tire. And the psi of the tire changes as you drive. On a race car, especially when the tires heat up, the tire pressure goes up because the air inside the tire gets warm, and warm air expands. So I don't know. I decided today, I'm like, I'll keep my tires are probably at about 80 psi right now. And on the road bike, on the specialized bike, the Silver Bullet, they're recommending 100 psi based on the tire size and my body weight and stuff like that. So both bikes, they're suggesting I reduce my psi by 20 pounds. But I don't know. I feel it when I ride. I do notice the difference in, I'm going to say, comfort. Like, 20 psi is a big difference. And I do notice that I don't feel the road vibration as much. I don't feel the texture of the road surface as much when I'm running a little bit lower pressure. There's a little bit of a comfort factor there, but I really don't feel like I go faster. And I do feel like I have to put more effort into power output per miles per hour with a lower PSI than a high PSI. I don't know. I've been riding a bike since I was a kid. So it's hard for me to believe what they say. And I'm still half tempted to but I don't know. I'm not feeling like I'm going to be out racing today. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to be putting my all into the ride today. I'm burned out from this whole situation with the house, and I'm getting pretty sick and tired of this slumlord bullshit, and I'm just burned out. I don't have the energy. So I'm really just going to go my 20 miles, work, do my 20 miles home. It should go by fast. I looked at who's going to be there today. The day goes faster when these people are there, so I'm bringing in some coffee as a thank you. Just thank you for being cool. I told somebody I would bring in cold brew one day, and I don't think she believed me, so I'm going to pull it out of my bag and be like, oh, here you go. Promises made, promises kept. I should run for office. But beware, if you vote for me, I am bringing back camps, the concentration camps. I'm bringing back, well, we're going to call them re-education camps, or my branding sense. As I'm a marketing guy, I'll probably come up with a better way to brand them, but I'm bringing back concentration camps. I'm bringing back re-education camps. There's going to be a mask patrol when I'm elected to benevolent leader. If the mask patrol is driving around town, they see somebody outside walking by themselves wearing a COVID mask on their face, in the back, grab them into the back of the van, off to the camp you go. You don't no time to gather your things. The family's not really going to know what happened to them. Off to the camp you go. You know, the other things. You know, I mean, we're talking about getting rid of illegal immigrants. I'm going to have ICE sit outside every fast food joint in Houston when the DoorDash drivers walk outside of the restaurant. They're going to approach them, ask them a question in English. If the person can't answer, in the back of the wagon you go. Off to the immigration office. We'll sort this out there. I'm gonna clean this motherfucker up. I'm cleaning this country up. Uh, if you thought Donald Trump has done a lot in his first 90 days, you haven't seen shit. You haven't seen shit. I might even do some good things for this country. I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be living large. I'm gonna go into this thing worth about $1,000. My net worth will be about $1,000 when I get into office. And 4 years later, when I come out, that motherfucker, I'm gonna be worth about 500 million. And you're all gonna be wondering how the hell did that happen? On a well, if I'm president, the salary is about 400,000 a year. So 4, 8, 12, 16. That's 1.6 million right there. The other 498 point whatever, you'll have to just speculate. But yeah, I'm definitely cashing in on that. I'm gonna come in with my net worth will be about $1,000 when I get in. Probably not even. My net worth will probably be less than zero, but when I come out, it'll be at least 500 million. 4 years. That's all it takes. I'm gonna get a book deal, bunch of book deals, so that when I come out, I get handed. I'll get $50 million on the day I leave for my book deal. And I don't even have to write the fucking book. Somebody else will write the book. They'll put my name on it. It'll go to Barnes and Noble where nobody buys it. 3 months later, it'll be sitting at Goodwill all over the country. But I got 50 million, so who fucking cares? I got mine. What else am I gonna do? Bribes, all of it. I mean, no, I'm not. No, I would never take a bribe. Just, for the record. Let's see. I don't know. There's other ways to make money. Oh, speeches. Joe Biden just gave a speech for the first time since he was president, although I've heard he's having a hard time finding people willing to pay his $300,000 fee for giving a speech. Gee, I wonder why. First time that motherfucker gives a speech after he's done in office, he gets up on the microphone and he starts rambling about how he used to watch all the colored kids on the bus. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck is going on? Like, that just tells you how old that motherfucker is. Talking about, we used to watch all the colored kids on the bus, and what the hell are those kids doing in my neighborhood? What the fuck, Joe Biden? Wow, dude, you may as well have called them spades. That I had a landlord, a different landlord. Now, she was good to me. She fixed everything that needed to be fixed, although she was an idiot and paid too much. She was a really mean old lady. I used to call her the lizard lady. I called her one of the lizard people because she had like permanent sunburn or what. She sat out in the sun so much of her life that all of her skin looked like a lizard. Like she literally had scales. It was disgusting. And she seemed like she couldn't wait to go out and get more sun. It's like, you've had enough. You've had enough sun for 10 people. I think you need to find a shady spot to spend the rest of your life, lizard lady. But one day she comes up to me, she's like, I'm so glad I rented this place out to you, because I didn't want to rent out to no spade. And I'm like, the fuck you talking? Spades? What? Oh my god, that's That's like some real old lady racist shit right there. Calling him a spade. Wow, I haven't heard that one in a long time. In fact, most of the people, by the time she said that to me, most people who would have used that term are long gone and buried by now. But that's what she said to me. She's like, I don't want to rent to no spades. Thank God you found this place. I was like, holy shit, talk about equal opportunity housing or whatever. Like, she definitely, that's a little bit of a violation right there if I ever heard one. But she said she didn't want to. She said she didn't say that she wouldn't. I don't know if there's a difference there, but oh, that lady was fucking nuts. But she took care of her place, and I never had any slumlord bullshit issues. If something broke, it got fixed quickly. She got snookered by a bunch of whenever she'd call a contractor, she called a contractor to come replace the knobs on the shower, and they charged her $2,000. And I was like, oh wow, $2,000 for two fucking knobs on a shower. But the contractor that she called are known for that shit. She's basically paying for all of their TV ads. $2,000. I know plenty of contractors that would have done that shit for 1,900. No, they would have probably charged $500 labor, and that would have been expensive. Two fucking knobs that they bought at the cheapest hardware store in town. The basic bitch shower knobs. $2,000. They were in and out in like an hour. It was like $2,000 for an hour of work. She called an electrician once to come replace a breaker switch that went bad. Dude charged her like $600 to replace a breaker switch. I could have done that. I was dying. I'm like, where do you find these fucking people? Every time she called somebody to come fix something, then she'd tell me on the side the next day how much she got hoodwinked for. And I'm like, don't you have a husband? I thought she was married. I'm like, don't you? I think she did have a husband. I'm like, don't you have a husband to stand up for you? Like, when you go to the auto mechanic and get your oil changed, do they charge you $300 to change your blinker fluid? And you just go, okay, sounds good to me. What the fuck? But anyway, I gotta let you guys go because I need a few minutes to chill, finish my coffee, and get on this bike and hit the road. Peace out. Yeah, this is a pretty good place to kick it. Another one of these convenient little swings. And I'm just gonna chill for a minute because I don't got nothing to do. I don't got nothing I have to do, so why not? I'm like 5 miles from home at this point, maybe 6. It's like nothing to go the rest of the way, and I just want to take a break and relax. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's another... I'm just looking around to see who's here. No one. I got this whole place to myself for a minute. We'll see how long that lasts, but I'm just kicking it on the Spring Creek Greenway on my way home from another day at the bakery. And it's been an interesting day, I'll put it that way. Ups and downs. I don't know. Usually the traffic's not that bad on Saturday, but as soon as I left the house, I wasn't even 500 feet down the road and some asshole started tailgating me. And now I'm in the right lane. It's two lanes in my direction. I'm to the right in the right lane. Some piece of shit Houston dick sucker gets behind me and starts tailgating me and just laying on the horn. Beep! screaming out his fucking window. So I just turned around and I looked at him and I'm like this. And I get right in the middle of the fucking lane and I just hold my middle finger up. As long as he's honking the horn, I'm holding my middle finger up. Like, fuck you, you fucking dirtbag. I just want these people to know I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about you. And if you're going to be like that, I'm getting right in the middle of the fucking lane and I'm slowing down. Slowing down. So he chased me all the way to the light and I ran the red light because there was nobody coming in the in the perpendicular direction. So I just went through the intersection, got a little ways ahead of the guy. He caught up to me, starts doing it again, tailgating me. There's nobody else on the fucking road. He gets right up behind my back wheel. Beep, beep, beep. And so once again, I get in the middle of the fucking lane. I turn around. He's got 2 lanes. I turn around. I give him the fucking bird again. And I just start slowing down. Then he pulls up beside me, rolls down the passenger side window, and starts screaming at the top of his lungs out the window at me. But I couldn't understand what he was saying because I was listening to my podcasts. So I couldn't hear him. I'm like, my sound system's pretty loud on this bike. And I'm just like, fuck you, you fucking douchebag. Fuck you, fuck you. And finally he just took off. Like, did like a burnout and just took off. I have no idea what the fuck he was so mad. He could have passed me at any time. It's just some people around here, they get mad that there's somebody riding a bicycle on the road. That's what it is. There's people that just can't stand that a bicyclist would get on the road and ride a bicycle. And so they're just going to lose their fucking temper and I'm so sick of fucking Houston right now. I've never seen a place with bigger pieces of shit on the road than Houston, Texas. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, yeah, you deal with these people sometimes when you bike a lot. And I've been all over America to most of the top 15 biggest cities, and I've ridden my bike in all of them. Houston is a whole nother level of piece of shit asshole drivers. Like, honestly, if I was allowed to carry a gun, I'm never allowed to carry a gun for the rest of my life, but if I was, I don't even know, because I would have been, I'd always carry when I ride, and I would have it within a reasonable, I used to have different ways of carrying it where I could reach it fairly easy. I don't know, man. There's some people down here that, some of these people deserve to get shot. I'm just going to say it. They deserve it. I'm not the one who's going to do it. I don't think that can be construed as making a threat. I'm just saying there's people that deserve. Like, the temper tantrums people throw on the fucking road here are mind-boggling. So that's how it started today. How many more times did that happen on the way into work? Like, at that level, no. Oh, somebody passed me in a truck and flicked me off and started screaming and yelling. You know, the Dodge Ram driver must have been, it was real early in the morning, so if he was on the way to beat the shit out of his wife, I don't know. I still wasn't in his way, but this guy got all fucking pissed off. Like, I'm telling you, they get mad for the simple reason you're on the road on a bicycle. And they believe that the road is for them and not for you, and it's my road and it's not your road. It's my road, and you're on my road. Get the fuck out of my way. That's basically how they act. And let's see, I know there was one other incident. My middle finger came out at least 3 times for 3 different people today. I don't remember the third one. It's like I'm so sick of this shit. Every single time I get on my fucking bicycle and go somewhere, I have to deal with at least one road raging asshole trying to run me off the road. And the only way, it's counterintuitive, unless if you ride a bicycle regularly, you would know. But if you don't do this regularly, it doesn't make sense. But the best way to handle it is to get in the middle of the lane and take the lane and sit there and slow down and do exactly what I do. If if everybody's being cool, then you be cool. Stay to the right. Try to give people room to pass. If there's an obstacle, if there's a danger in the road, like there's a lot of these sewer grates on the side of the roads here, and the roads don't have any shoulders to begin with. And these sewer grates can suck your wheel right down it. Like you could get killed getting sucked into one of these sewer grates. So I get out and I go around them. I'm not going to ride over them and get a chance having my wheel get caught in one. So, but when I try to make room for people to pass, but if people start acting belligerent, I'm right in the middle of that fucking lane and I'm not letting them go by me. The only way they're going to get past me, literally, is to run me over. And that's when people got to make a choice. Do I go to prison for manslaughter or attempted murder? Or do I just be an asshole and beat my horn and scream and yell and throw a raging tirade until I can find a way to get around this guy? The problem is, that's how you protect yourself on the bicycle. I'm telling you, this is how you have to do it. Especially like in a group ride, like if I'm with like 5 or 6 people, we'll ride in a straight line. But if someone starts acting like that, we're going to go 3 abreast. We're going to take the whole fucking lane and we're just going to slow it down. And we're just going to be like, you are literally going to have to run somebody over. And I mean, at some point in the game, somebody might. These people are batshit crazy here. Somebody might run me over, but the chances are slim because most people don't like to go to prison for the rest of their life. And you have to keep that in mind. It's like, not only do you got to make yourself visible, if it's not safe for them to pass, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if a raging road rage asshole like that, if you try to move over and let them pass, you're basically giving them an invitation to ram you and get and to push you off the road and to make you crash, like to collide with you, like you're inviting it. So, if you ride all the time, if you bike all the time, you know this. You know that you have to be aggressive with people like that. You don't pull over. You don't move over and try to get out of their way. You get in their way even more than you already are and make it so that they can't get past you no matter what until it's safe to go past. And then, yeah, they're going to lose their minds. I've seen people do so many stupid things. I mean, I've seen people lose their fucking temper to the point where they get in the bus lane going the opposite direction of the buses and almost crash head on into a bus because they're having road rage that there's a couple of cyclists in the road. But the funny thing is, they don't have the same level of road rage if they're in a traffic jam and that's cars in front of them. There's just something about seeing somebody on a bike that triggers people and it makes them lose their fucking minds. And so it's just, I don't know, the whole thing's just ridiculous. So I had to deal with that on the way in today. And aside from that, I don't know, the bakery was busy. It wasn't what I expected today, that's for sure. All right. Anyway, the bakery wasn't what I was expecting today. And It was busy. It was just different. It went by fast. No big deal. It was good. I like the people there. There's no, I don't have any complaints about it. It's just tired. That's all. And I'm just getting like to the point where I'm like, I just hope God can put me to my true calling. There's lessons to learn at this bakery. You know, the owner was there today. And so, but she works hard, just like the rest of us. She worked all day long. She was there before I got there. She left around the same time as me. She didn't take a break all day. I took a break. I'm taking a break. Like, I'm not gonna like just work 8 straight hours without taking a break. Not at that pace, not at that level. My hands are still pruned from the first. Hell, I was probably washing dishes for 5 hours straight. It was busy. And I got thrown right in the fire as soon as I walked in. Well, as soon as I walked in and had my breakfast. And I come in early enough to chill before I start working. So I don't have to just jump right in. But then on the way home. Oh, here's a good one. So before I came home, I checked my email and it was just stacked with YouTube comments. But then I remembered the YouTube video that was scheduled to go live today. Today is April 19th. It's Saturday. So the video that you're watching today, that went live today, was recorded days ago. So I'm getting backed up to where I'm recording these videos, but I don't want to just put out a 3 to 5 hour long video. So I'm just, wherever it makes sense to split the video, I'll save it as a video of its own, and then I'll just schedule it the day after the last one in line. And so what I'm trying to do is get far enough ahead that I have videos that'll automatically go live day after day after day. And I'm trying to get far enough ahead that if I take a few days where I just don't have time to do anything, there will be a new video for you guys to watch. But I don't want to get so far ahead that whatever you're watching is 2 weeks behind what's actually going on. So I got to balance that out a little bit. But for now, this is what I'm going to do, because I don't know what else to do right now. It's all I got time to do is put a camera in front of me, talk for a bit, chop, save, upload, done. Like, I don't got time to do anything fancy. I wish I did. You've seen a couple of videos where I put some effort into the editing, and you see that I can do it. It's not, and even those aren't that great, but I know what I'm doing. It's just time. It's really time. I had 4 days this week to work on my stuff, and the first 2 of the 4 days were pretty bunk. I got some things done, but not to the level I needed to. You can see it in my face, my demeanor. It's just, I'm worn out from all this shit. Wednesday night, I had a productive meeting that kind of turned the tide a little bit. And I'm not going to talk about it yet. But Thursday felt okay. Friday felt better. And I told you about how I used AI to write code and how it saved me a whole bunch of time. And I used it to do some other tasks. It saved me a ton of time. And it did a better job than I would have done on my own. And ironically, and then I was talking about in the last video I recorded, I was talking about specifically using AI to write a book. To, Kamala Harris. They said Kamala Harris is about to put out a book. You think that dumb bimbo wrote a fucking book herself?
She couldn't even write a children's book. That dumb bitch. She can't even write a speech. She can't do a TV interview. She's dumb as a bag of rocks. Somebody else is writing a book to put her name on it as the author so she can get $50 million that otherwise would have been a straight up bribe, but they disguise it as a book deal. That's how the politicians take their bribes. The book deal is one of many. Speeches. When the president gets out of office and he's getting $500,000 to give a speech somewhere, and then another $500,000 to give another speech, and before you know it, he's got $20 million in speaking engagements. That's called a bribe. That's him getting paid for whatever fucking favors he did for his cronies. And instead of just being an outright bribe, they make it it's a book deal, it's a speaking fee, it's this, it's that, and it's a bribe. That's what they are. Okay, so I was talking about using AI to write a book. All right, so this morning on my way in, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to the remainder of the Alex Jones interview with Tucker Carlson. And there was probably close to an hour of that left. I thought it was almost over, but it must have been, it went out, it was an hour. It was the last hour. So that might, and the progress bar looked like it was almost over, but it was an hour. So I was like, it was really good. That was a good interview. And then an episode of the show No Agenda pops in. And it was the remainder of a show from a couple of weeks ago, because I haven't pulled down the newest episodes of that. But it was a show I had already listened to part of, and in my player, the next track, if you've already listened to some of it, it'll just pick up where it left off. So I didn't have to start over from the beginning. And so I'm listening to this episode of the No Agenda podcast with John Dvorak and Adam Curry, the former MTV VJ, my bad. And all of a sudden they start talking about AI and specifically using AI to write a book. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I was just talking about this last night in the last video I recorded. They were talking about how people use AI to write songs, and there's a lot of AI generated videos out there now, and they were talking about using AI to write code. And literally, they were having the same exact, not exactly the same as I was talking about it, but their own spin. On everything that I was talking about in the video that I recorded last night. Every single thing that I mentioned and talked about in that video, they started talking about. And it was like deja vu. It was weird, really weird that it lined up like that. Like there's something to that. The coincidence is not coincidental there. But they said something that was really interesting, and I believe it. Dvorak, the tech guy, he was saying that, you can't just use AI to create art, to create music, to write code, or to write a book if you don't know how to do whatever it is that you're trying to do on your own. And it made sense. If you don't know how to write code at all, you're not going to be able to get AI to write code for you that works, that you can use, that you can do something with. Because yes, you can get AI to write the code, but you're not going to know what to do with it. You're not going to know how to wire it up. You're not going to know how to take it and go to the next level. On the flip side, I have a series, I think it's about 12 now, inspirational posters. I'm doing them as square posters let's call them, like not like the inspirational posters that you remember from like the early 2000s with the dumb picture and the phrase at the bottom, teamwork, or like that crap that you would see in every fucking office in America for about 10 years straight. Every time you turn around, gratitude, teamwork, what's the other one, grit, determination, or like you see these fucking, it's like some photograph with the word, you know collaboration underneath it, and it'll have like some dumb phrase, but it's like just get back to work, you fucking scrub. Those motivational posters. Well, I'm doing ones that are like very artistic and have flair to them. I've had to put this stuff off to the side because I'm too overloaded right now, but when I was homeless, I was working on these. I've got one of them finished. Number 2 is almost done, but they're like 25 to 30 hours each. Maybe 50 hours each. So multiply 25 to 50 hours times 12. And that's how many hours I got to spend to put this whole series together. That's a lot of hours. But every single one of them was generated with an AI tool. I came up with an idea of the phrase that I wanted to. I came up with a bunch of phrases. I even used AI to come up with the phrases to an extent. And then I kind of messed with them. And so it was a combination of my own ideas and artificial intelligence and Google searches and inspirational quotes and just a lot of different sources, and I put together all these quotes. And they were all about the same length, and they're all really good. They're all like redemption kind of coming back from a fall kind of quotes. And so I came up with the 12 best ones, and then I thought in my mind what the art should look like for each one. And I used a couple of specific AI art generation tools to give prompts to describe what I want and see what the thing will generate in response to that. And sometimes I would have to do it 5 or 6 times before I get something I'm like, oh, I can use that. Yeah, definitely. And so I took all the AI generated art and I used it as a starter template. I'm like, I like this idea. I generally like the style. It matches all the other ones. They all go together. But I'm sitting down to redraw them in my own style to make them even more perfect and even more similar to one another. And, the AI tool at the time did a really bad job with words type. It comes up with some really cool font and calligraphy and typography ideas, but it doesn't spell the words correctly. So I'm like, okay, I like the flair that you put into this AI bot, but you got to learn. I mean, I don't know how you generate all this crazy shit, but you still don't know how to spell basic words. Like, come on, dude. So I'm just using them as starter templates, but I'm redrawing it with my own style. But the first one took like 25 hours and it was a single color, black and white. The next one's more like 5 or 6 colors, and I've probably put 25 to 30 hours into that. And I'm probably got another 15 to go. The typography is the hardest part. The artwork itself is easier to do because the artwork can have imperfection and it can have more flair, but typography has to be precise. Letters and shapes of letters have to be really precise, and it takes a lot more time to make that part of it right. But anyway, I'm using the AI as a base, but you wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing by just having an AI bot do it for you. It's not that good. You have to have an artistic sense, number one, to know what looks good and what doesn't, so that when I generate a dozen ideas, I know which one to pick. And then I have to have the artistic skill to take that idea and turn it into something better than what it gave me. My Lit Good Photography logo came from AI, but it wasn't just taken verbatim. I used AI to come up with symbolism that had to do the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather in barns, yet your heavenly Father still feeds them. That's why when you go to litgood.com, the logo has a bird flying in it. It's exactly why I chose the bird. But the idea didn't pop into my head right away. I was looking for religious symbolism. And so AI was like, here's a bunch of Jesus crosses, and here's like the obvious stuff. And so I said to AI, I'm like, okay, no more Jesus crosses, no more fish, none of the standard symbols that you see all the time. Give me something that relates to Jesus and God that's not any of the standard stuff. And it came up with this bird. And I'm like, now we're talking. Now we're talking, and I made it into a nice logo. And you'll see it at the bottom corner of the YouTube video too, the little bird icon that's in the watermark in the corner of the video came from that. But I didn't just take what the thing gave me and use it. I took the idea and made it my own. Same thing with the code that I got from AI. It was perfect. It worked right out of the box. I didn't have to modify a single character of 75 to 80 lines of JavaScript code that it wrote. I just copied and pasted, and I'm like, well, let's see what happens, and it fucking worked. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, but at the same time, I had to know what to do with it. I had to know how to wire it up. I had to actually understand how the whole thing works, so that if there was a bug, I could troubleshoot it. Just so happened there were 2 bugs, and the fact that I used to work in software and would have to describe bugs to programmers or receive descriptions of bugs from testers and customers and trouble tickets and all that kind of stuff, I know how to describe a bug so that it'd be easy for someone to understand how to fix it. So I had the conversation in plain English with Grok. I'm like, the code that you wrote, it was great, but here's 2 specific bugs. And I just, in plain English, I said what the bugs were. And Grok was like, oh, let me fix that. Here you go. Gave me the fucking code. Fixed. Now it's like 90 lines of code or whatever. It was a lot of code. And I'm like, there's no way that this is just going to work. And I copied and pasted the thing, and it just worked right out the gate. So I started messing around. I just said to Grok, I said, I want you to write a book for me. And I said the same thing I said to you. Just like Kamala Harris doesn't write a book on her own because she's a dumb bimbo who doesn't even know how to read, I want you to write a book for me, market it for me, and the book could be about how I used AI to write a book and got rich. And Grok turns around and gives me this whole thing about how I can help you write a book, but if you don't know how to write a book on your own, there's only so much I can do. It literally said that to me. And so I had this idea while I was in the joint about a book that I would like to write. And I started pitching the idea to the AI bot. And I kind of said, look, I don't know how. I'm like, here's the general idea that I had, but I don't know how it all ties together yet. And the AI bot was like, oh, that's great. Here are some ideas to tie this all together. And I messed around with it for like an hour, and I'm like, I had an outline for a novel at the end of an hour. Good enough to start outlining a book. Not writing a book, but how to pace it, how much percentage of the book to dedicate to each part of the story. There's a story arc. The working out whether it should be first person, third person, or a combination of first and third person, and the pros and cons to each I like Don Winslow, the author who wrote Power of the Dog, The Cartel, and, well, it's called the Cartel series, but the books are called Power of the Dog, The Cartel, and The Border. Those 3 books. This author named Don Winslow, their book. Honestly, if you ever saw the show Narcos on Netflix, it's not exactly the same plot and script, but it's almost like you're watching the show Narcos. It's just not exactly the same. It's not. Things are fictionalized. Things are heavily fictionalized. Names are fictionalized. Events are fictionalized, but it's all based on real stuff. But it's fictionalized heavily, probably because Don Winslow didn't want to die, and he didn't want to get killed by the cartel. So he told the story of the cartels and the whole, Pablo Escobar all the way up to El Chapo. But he didn't say any of their names. He twisted the events around. Everything's kind of based in reality, but nothing is. It's fully, complete 100% fiction. And that's probably why Don Winslow lives to write another book today. But one thing Don Winslow did in those books that I didn't like at first, but then it started to catch on to me, was he switches back and forth between the first person and the third person throughout the books. So the main character, whenever there's a chapter about the main character, it's the first person storytelling from the character's point of view and his own thoughts and the conversations he's having with other people, and it's all first person. But then it'll switch to another chapter. It'll be third person about something that's going on somewhere else. And so you, as the reader, you start to pick up things, and you have information about what's going on that the main character doesn't know, and he's blind to. And so, like, you're watching the main character basically walk into a trap that he doesn't know about, but you know about, because the third person part of the book told you, these people were setting up shop over here to put out a hit on this guy. But now it's in the first person, and the guy's walking into it, and he doesn't know what's about to happen, but you do. And so there's like an interesting way to tell a story there. And I'm wondering, could I do something like that? But that gets complicated. That's definitely, I don't know if that, but anyway, I was using the AI tool to just sort out ideas. And I'm like, just in the same way that I used AI to create logo ideas, but I have to finish them. AI is not going to finish it for me. Just like the code. The code that Grok gave me works right out of the box. Boom, it's good. Perfect. It's worked perfect. If I go over that thing with a magnifying glass, I'm going to be like, okay, I can delete this line. I can optimize this. I could probably reduce 75 lines of code down to 50, because there's probably stuff in there I don't need. There's stuff I could make better. There's stuff that I could, like I said, improve. And then visually speaking, there are things with the HTML and CSS outside of the JavaScript that I need to perfect and need to tweak and need to fix. And there's probably a couple of things that I could say to Grok, hey, take that code you gave me and modify it to do this, modify it to do that. And it'll probably come up with a way to do it that'll take 5 seconds, where it would take me 2 hours to do the same thing. So there's a combination of you got it. It's just like they were saying on the podcast today. If you use AI to write a song, you still have to know what a good song sounds like. You can't just be like, AI, write me a rap album. It might write a shitty rap album, but if you know how to rap, if you know how to make rhymes, and you know how to do it, you can use the tool to generate some really good ideas, or to kind of kickstart your creativity. It's really no different than doing research. Back in the day when you were a logo designer, instead of going to the AI bot, you'd go to Google Images and say you'd just start I need a logo. I think maybe a compass could be in the logo. Maybe some ocean waves. Maybe a tree would be in the logo. A yoga pose or something. Just whatever visual idea that you think of for a logo. You go type it into Google image search and you just start looking at like all the different graphic interpretations of what you have in your head and see if anything inspires something that you can pick up on and do your own version of. We do that all the time. A graphic designer will make a board of inspiration for a logo design. I might have like 50 or 60 other logos pasted on a board that are just ideas of other logos that are kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking of. Could be typography, it could be a font choice, it could be the layout of the logo. Is it horizontal? Is it vertical? Is it square? Is it, the style of artwork? Could be the symbology. Could be just any kind of reference or idea that you're like, okay, there's something there for me to think about. I'm not just going to steal it verbatim. It's an inspiration at this point. Just like musicians listen to other music and then they get ideas for their own music from other music. Led Zeppelin, the greatest band that ever lived, they got their inspiration from the old school rock and roll music and blues, a lot of blues, and just a lot of different. All four members of the band had a whole different taste in music and what they listened to and what they enjoyed listening to and where they got their inspiration from. And like John Bonham was into like jazz drummers and shit like that. And if you really listen to their music, you can pick up on what they stole from other musicians, but they still had to turn it into their own band. You got four of the most talented musicians who ever lived all in one band, but they all had a different upbringing. They all had a different style. They all had different inspirations and different hooks and different ideas, but they all came together to combine all of their stuff into one powerhouse of a band. The best band that ever walked the face of the earth. The band was so good that when the drummer died, they couldn't do it anymore. There are bands that the lead singer taps out and the band goes on. There's bands where they lose the drummer, they get a new drummer. They lose a guitarist, they get a new guitarist. AC/DC lost their lead singer, they got a new one. There's Led Zeppelin, they lost their drummer. That's it. We're fucking done. We can't do this. Where are you going to get a drummer like that? How are you going to replace that? You can't. They did a couple of concerts with John Bonham's son, who learned how to play some of his dad's songs, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. And so I just thought it was ironic that I was talking about all this stuff with AI yesterday in the video right before I went to bed. I went to bed right after I shot that video. And then today, the very next morning, I'm riding into work, and these two dudes on a podcast are having the exact same conversation, talking about all the same stuff that I was talking about. And I just thought it was hysterical. And I thought there was something to that because, like I've been saying, the AI is not... It's very powerful, and it's going to get to the point... It's kind of like computers back in the day. Every 6 months, you could throw away your computer because the new computers that came out were 2 to 3 times faster and more powerful than the computer you just bought 6 months ago. The computer you just bought 6 months ago can't even keep up with what you need to do today. And then at some point, the computer got maxed out. I'm telling you, I've got a 2012 MacBook Pro and I've got a 2019 MacBook Pro, and they're not that far apart in terms of speed and capability. And the new M1, M2, M3 MacBook Pros are a step above what I have right now. But I used an M1 for about 6 months when they came out, and it was only a year newer than the 2019 that I had, the MacBook Pro with the last Intel chip, and there's not a lot of difference. It's negligible. And there are certain things that the new Apple chips do that the Intel chips aren't capable of. So if I install the newest OS, Mac OS, on my MacBook, there's a bunch of shit that won't work. So that's kind of like the sign I got to get a new MacBook, because they're not supporting mine anymore. But do I need to do it tomorrow? No. I have plenty of power to do the things I need to do right now. The computers are not obsolete in 6 months after you buy them. It's more like 5 years. You get 5 years out of a MacBook, no problem. You're really not going to notice the difference that much. Back in the day, 5 years between computers is like a significant, it's not even the same world. But now the technology is, the speed at which the technology changes has slowed down, even with the phones. When the first smartphones came out, every new generation of smartphone was way more powerful than the one before, and now the curve has slowed down. You can have a smartphone that's 3 years old, and it's not much worse than the brand new phone that's out right now. There's not that much difference. But the thing that is taking off is all this AI shit. Every 6 months, it's twice as powerful as it was 6 months ago. And there's some scary shit coming down the pike, because you can see it. If you use it, you can see what it's capable of now. And you're like, this is just the beginning. Like, when I saw the code and this isn't the first time I've seen AI generated code that was actually good. But just the fact that I was able to tell it what the bugs were, and it fixed the bugs and gave it back to me in a half second. And each time I found a bug, it was like, oh, I know how to fix that. Here you go. And it worked. Blew my mind. And I'm like, how the hell are these corporations going to keep, I'm telling you, at the bank I worked at, they had 3 towers in downtown Pittsburgh. One of them I called the Curry Tower, because it was all Indian programmers from India on H-1B visas, 36-story building full of them. If you've got an AI bot that can do, now all of these Indian programmers, you tell them what you want to build, and they're going to take 2 years to build it, and it's going to be sloppy. The code's going to be garbage. It's going to suck. They're getting, they're paying 1/3 the rate of what an American would get paid for the same job. So the quality's not there. And I'm not saying every programmer from India sucks. That's not the case at all. I know brilliant programmers from India. The nationality doesn't make you a bad programmer. What I'm saying is, they bring low quality programmers from overseas and pay them dog shit wages, because they don't care about the quality of the code. They just want seats in the chair. They figure we can get 3 programmers from India for the price of 1 American programmer, and we get an indentured servant, 3 indentured servants that can't just leave and go find another job. So who cares if the quality's bad? They're putting more output. They're getting more output for their dollar in their own minds. That's what they think. But now we're at the point where a robot can do more than 50 Indian programmers on H-1B visas. Grok can do more in 30 seconds than 50 H-1B visa programmers can do in 50 days. So they're all going to be going home. They're all going to be going home. It's just a matter of time. As soon as these corporations figure out they don't need it, they're done. But they're not going to replace them with American programmers. They're going to be replaced with a robot. The only room for American programmers, there still needs to be somebody who can understand the code that the AI bot is generating. Because when something goes wrong, you're still going to have to describe to the bot what went wrong. And you're still going to have to be able to look under the hood. It's like having a robot build a car. How many cars are built in automobile factories now by robots? Human beings really aren't building cars anymore. But there's a human being behind a glass wall pushing a button or, writing code or monitoring the process. But humans aren't building the cars anymore. But this human being still needs to know how the car works so that if something goes wrong or if there's a problem, like, a lot of these cars are being built so shoddily now that you buy a brand new Escalade and before the engine has 1,000 miles on it, it rips apart and it completely dies and it's undrivable. And you take apart the engine and you see that, they forgot this gasket and they forgot this ring and this seal and the engine just basically blew up. And then they'll see 50 engines on the assembly line had this problem, one after the next, after the next, after the next. And it's because the quality control's gone. So there still has to be a human being somewhere that can isolate and figure out what the problem is, an engineer, and then retool the robot, reprogram the machines and the tooling and all that to fix the problem for the next batch of engines that come out. So there won't be as many programming jobs, but there will still be a need for them for a while. I mean, even with the art stuff, AI is getting better. It's getting better at spelling. You can go to the AI bots that generate images now, and you can tell them what you're looking for. And if you need words in the thing, they're getting better at spelling. I think it's kind of shitty that they can't spell even when you spelled the words. Like, I want a person standing on the side of a river holding up a sign that says this, and then you spell out what the sign says. And then the AI bot generates the image, but every word on the sign is spelled wrong. I'm like, how do you spell it wrong when I told you how to spell it? And it's not like you don't have access to fonts. So they're still, but they're getting better. They're getting smarter, and that's the thing. Like, we're going to see leaps and bounds in that technology over the next 10 years. It's going to blow your mind. And you're going to have to, no matter who you are or what you do, you're going to have to interact with it. You're literally going to be, when you have a problem with a company, instead of talking to somebody from India, you're going to be talking to a robot. And to be honest, the people from India can't solve any of your fucking problems. Maybe the robot's better. I'm honestly looking forward to it, to be honest, because if I had to choose between Ranjit over in Bangladesh, and he's like, hello, thank you for calling in the T-Mobile, and you have a nice day, sir, and I'm going to hang out. I can't understand a word you fucking said, Ranjit. But if I call T-Mobile on another day and it's a robot, hello, Adam, please tell me what's happening today. I'd really like to help you the best I can to my ability. And I'll be like, well, I'm trying to change my address on my account and your broken ass website doesn't allow me to do it. Well, why don't you just give me your new address and I'll do that for you? Well, thank you, robot. All right. Why don't you refresh the web page that you're looking at and see if the changes that I made have been reflected there? And I hit refresh. Oh, thank you, Mr. Robot. No problem. If you need anything else, feel free to give me a call. I'm around 24/7 to service any of your needs. Like, if it's that pleasant, I'm gonna pick the robot over Team India any day. Any day. But that's what we're gonna have when you go. They're already trying it at the drive-through when you go to fucking McDonald's or Burger King or Kentucky Fried Chicken or Kentucky Hut or whatever it is. Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut all in one. That's called a Kentucky Hut. If you go to the Kentucky Hut and place your order, there's a fairly good chance you're talking to a robot in some of these places. And you give it your order and it pretends to be a person and it acts like everything's cool, and it'll even have like they could give it a personality. Like it could have California Surfer Dude. Hey dude, thanks for coming to Kentucky Hut. How can I help you today? Oh yeah, man, that sounds rad. All right, so you're gonna get the #1 biggie size, and you're gonna want a Coke with that. Okay. Oh no, you want root beer? All right, dude. All right, cool, man. All right, just pull up to the first window and we'll take your payment. Have a good day, dude. You might think that was just some surfer dude that you were talking to, and turns out it's a fucking robot. You don't know. You don't know, but that's where we're going. That's where we're going. So even if you're against it, even if you don't want it, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of old people that didn't want the internet, didn't want to have to learn email, didn't want to have to learn how to use a computer, and now they're fucked. They either had to learn how, you old people had to either learn how to do it, or you're fucking screwed. You can't even get your social security check without having to get on a computer now, huh? How'd that work out for you, not learning how to use a computer? I don't know. I don't need to learn this computer shit. I don't need to learn all that. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be learning no email, none of that. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? I have a friend who had a job for going on 20 years working at the same company, and I kept saying, you got to get a new, it kind of, she shot herself in the foot because her skills stagnated being at this total clusterfuck for 20 years, and she didn't learn any new skills. And so now she's looking for a new job, and she's like printing out her resume and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, the last time you had to find a job, you were sending resumes in the mail, weren't you? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, it don't work like that anymore, honey. You gotta apply online now. You gotta send your resume, you gotta make your resume a PDF file and a Word document and a plain text file and probably 2 other formats. And then when you go to the company's website to apply for the job, you have to upload the PDF of your resume, and then you have to copy everything from your resume into these little boxes on a website. Why? I don't fucking know. They already have your fucking resume, but you have to copy and paste your resume again. And I'm like trying to explain how retarded it is to apply for a job now, but you have to do it online. I'm like, you can't just walk into like Taco Bell and say, give me a job application. They're going to say, go online. I'm like, it's been like 20 years since you had to find a job. It's a different world, honey. You're in for a shock. She eventually found a job, but it wasn't a great job, but, could have been worse, could have been better. But, I don't keep in touch with her anymore, but it is what it is. But if you don't move with the times are going to leave you behind. I was in prison for 2 years while this AI shit was taking off. So right before I went into prison, it was just getting in people's heads. I get out of prison 2 years later, everybody's using it for everything now. And I'm like, I had some catch up to do to figure out what the fuck's going on. And I'm like, holy shit, I missed a lot in 2 years. And here I am coaching somebody in prison who had been in prison since 1995, and that's the last time he used a computer. And I'm not kidding you when I say that the computers that they have in federal prison are basically the same computers you had in 1995. You can check some messages, you can send messages, and you can read the announcements that come from the warden, and that's about it. They have their PCs, their Windows computers, but they're literally I think they're running Windows 95. and it's just some old ass Dell from 1995, and you can literally use it for three things. Oh, and you can check your commissary balance. You can check your commissary balance, you can check your messages, and you can send messages to people. And you got to pay for all that shit too. So this dude hasn't touched a computer since 1995 when he went to prison. He was serving a life sentence. Somehow it got commuted and he got to go home. 2024. Almost 30 years. Yeah. 29 years he spent in prison. And he's asking me all these computer questions. And I'm like, okay, I'm answering them. But I'm like, you're going to be playing that shit is not the same as when you came in. Go back to 1995 and what were you doing with a computer back then and what are you doing with a computer now? Imagine being locked away from that for 29 years and then having to come out and figure out all this shit. The internet barely fucking worked in 1995 and now you can't work without it in 2025. So that's the same thing with AI. That's the new thing. We all know where it's going. We all know what this is. It's just, it's part of the global, the whole internet was designed to take over our lives. But some of us got a hold of it and started to use it to free humanity, and now the globalists are puppet masters, and the leaders and the owners of this earth are like, oh shit, we got to lock that down. We got to lock it down. But not everybody's going along with that. But they're going to start using this AI shit to run everybody's life. And so, use the tools that they give you to fight back against them. And then by fighting back against them, I don't mean violently. I don't even mean fighting against them. You fight back against them by building your life and being successful and by becoming independent and by becoming self-sufficient to the point where you don't need them and you don't need their systems anymore. And if I can get rich because I have a robot write a fucking book for me based on the story that I have in my head, but I'll let the robot do most of the work, and if it makes me enough money that I don't have to go ride a bicycle 40 miles a day to work at a fucking minimum wage job that I can't even survive on because I made $10 million off of a book that a robot wrote for me, well, what the fuck am I doing? Working. Don't work hard, work smart. So I don't know where shit's going. I'm pissed. Like, I'm sitting on this bench. I don't even want to go home right now because I'm just like, what shit show is this dingbat slumlord got in store for me today when I get there? I'm hoping nothing. But I can't leave that place and come back expecting it to be nothing at this point. And I'm watching some nature. It's pretty cool out here, but I am going to get going. We're at about an hour, and I think that was long enough for this one. And I do want to get home. It's like, oh yeah, it's about that time. And but it was nice to sit in the park. I got a 20-minute ride ahead of me, and it was nice to just sit here and chill with y'all. And we'll talk again. Peace.